All right, so we talked about the ambiguous case if we have no solution. Let's talk about what if we have one solution. So one solution is, so we already wrote this in our notes. There's one possibility here. One solution is if A is going to be greater than B. So let's kind of draw another little triangle here. And so if I have, I'll say this is A, here's B. If this side A is greater than B, right? If it's greater than B, let's just say it's like way out here. So if A is just bigger than B, or there's another case here that I'm going to write down, and that is if A is equal to H. If A happens to be the same thing as H, what would happen there is so if A is over here, or if A is just goes right down and it's the same length as the height, which means it's a right triangle. Those are the two cases where you have just one solution and everything's going to be normal. So I'm just going to say one solution for that type of problem. And that is going to be just solve the law of sines normally. So here's an example. That would be one solution. Now, so our picture here, we have side-side angle. We have 105 degrees, and then 6, and then 9. And now you have to be, these aren't labeled as A, B, C, so you can't be so locked in to having your variables named A, B, C that you can't understand the problem if the variables are different or if it's written a little bit differently. This is a case where we just want to generalize this. We're saying that the angle here, 105, right? You can kind of think of that as our A value, our angle. The side opposite of this, which is 9, is greater than 6. It's bigger than 6. So therefore, this is going to be one solution. It's not going to be no solution. So we're just going to use the law of sines normally, and we're going to have one answer here. So let's go ahead and do that. When we do this, the first thing that we're going to solve for is angle S in this case. So you notice that in the last video that I wrote the law of sines with sine on the top. That's the reason why I'm going to put sine on the top here, is because I'm solving for an angle here. So remember, the combination that I know in this problem is 105 and 9. So I'm going to start with this and say the sine of 109, or sorry, the sine of 105 divided by 9 is equal to the other combination, which is the sine, in this case, of S. Ooh, that's a bad variable name. The sine of S divided by 6. Now again, I wrote it like this because I'm solving for an angle, so I'm going to put sine on the top. Now if I solve for this, I'm going to multiply by 6 on both sides. And so we're going to get the sine of S equals whatever this is. And so we can type this into our calculator if you want already. And then we're going to take an inverse sine of that. So we have 6 times the sine of 105 over 9. 6 times sine 105. And this is divided by 9. So we get about 0.6439. Okay, that's an approximation. If I'm going to solve for the angle now I'm going to take an inverse sine of that. So I'm going to take inverse of the 0.6439. And the best thing to do is just leave that answer in your calculator and do second sine, so sine inverse, and then just select the answer. So hit second answer in your calculator, and then it'll give you the angle. So the angle here is 40.09. So my angle S is 40.09 degrees. So there's one of my answers. So I'm going to fill that in here. This is 40.09. And then what else can I do? Well, since I know this angle and this angle, I can find the third angle just by subtracting everything from 180. So I can find that other piece. So 180 minus 40.09 is what I wrote on my paper, minus the other angle, which is 105. And that gives us 34.91. Okay, so now we know that angle T has to be 34.91. The only other piece of information that I need to find is side T. And we can do that by using the law of sines one more time. So now we need to find side T. So I'm going to go ahead and use the law of sines. Now, since I'm solving for a side length, I'm going to put that T on the top. So I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to say T divided by the sine of, in this case, 34.91 equals, and now I can pick whatever combination I want to. In this case, I'm going to use the original one, which would be equal to 9 over the sine of 105. So now if I solve this, I have T is equal to, I'd have to multiply by sine 34.91 on the other side of the equation. So this is going to equal 9 times the sine of 34.91 divided by the sine of 105, which we can now approximate. So we have to solve for T. Bring that up. We're going to have 9 times sine of 34.91, and this is divided by the sine of 105. So the answer is about 5.33. So T is 5.33, and there is our third piece of information, and now we have solved our triangle. So this side, that angle, and now we have everything.